guys, I want to say thank you for making this because, especially Alan, I know that this is a very personal story to you. So thank you for just telling this story. And Paul, thank you for taking this role on because you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, Alan, this movie has a lot to say for people that have experienced tragedy. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you so effectively added pain from your life into the fabric of this film and story?
Well, I think when I was 13 years old, I was in a car accident and my sister was killed. She was driving the car. I was in the car, and it changed my life. I mean, it immediately turned my life into before and after, and it's something I've been, running from for most of my early life. And I think when one has experienced a life-changing trauma like that, it's not something you ever fully just get over and leave behind. And especially, and I for years I blamed myself because she was driving me to my piano lesson. And so Frank's experience with Sam and his blaming himself, although it's not the exact same thing, it still is. It's about how do you live with yourself when you survived something and that took someone who you loved very, very much. How do you get past that? Right. And so in Frank's, I think the way that he's dealt with is to leave town and build a new life for himself in New York and think, okay, well, I left all that behind me. But you never really leave it behind you. And one of the things, people ask me, what do you hope people will take away from this movie? One of the things is that it's never too late. It's never too late to start to heal from the worst thing that ever happened to you. And you don't have to be in your 20s. You don't have to, there's no time period where that's when you have to figure it out by. So in a way, Frank's beginning his healing process is a way for me to, work on my continual healing process of my own. I hope I answered your question.
No, thank you for that answer, actually, Alan. That's super insightful, and thank you for sharing that. Paul, most of the tension in this film derives from secrets and hidden lives. Why is it important, whether Frank realizes it or not, for Frank to come home at this point emotionally for his father's funeral?
Well, Frank doesn't know why, which is why everybody needs a Wally. In fact, Frank is pretty convinced that he shouldn't go back and should avoid that experience. And Wally is, of course, right. I think that it's a wonderful story about, a man who's sort of split himself in two, and who, through the power of the love of his partner, is able to rejoin the two halves of his life. And I think right now that's a really it's always a lovely story to tell, right? But right now, as we move towards this holiday season, I think a story about a family that has very different views on how one should live one's life, being able to overcome their differences and heal, I think is a moving story to tell.
Now, Alan, Paul is amazing in the role of Frank. Can you talk to me about, I know he's right here, but can you talk to me about what Paul brought to the role that may have not necessarily been on the page?
Yeah, I think, Frank, Paul has a sort of inherent fundamental decency and dignity and goodness, which he sometimes hides with a really wicked sense of humor, which I certainly do so myself. But I always wanted Frank to be a character of who had that profound decency and dignity. And he definitely brought that. I mean, I never had a picture of Frank in my head when I was writing it, but when we spoke on the phone, and it just became really clear that we were both on the same page, and we both approached work the same way, and we both saw this story in the same way. And then there was a day where the DP was doing camera tests, and he shot a still photo of Paul with a mustache and the glasses and the cigarette and the sort of tweedy jacket. And I remember seeing that photograph and I was just like, that's him. That's him. I never saw him looking like that, but I can't imagine him being anybody else than Paul.
Yeah, Paul, you get lost in this role. Like, I almost forget at times that it's you, but phenomenal job on this film for both of you. And I appreciate your time. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.